WCNC Charlotte. This is Flashpoint, where power and politics collide and the tough questions get asked and answered.
Thanks for joining us here on Flashpoint. I'm Ben Thompson. North Carolina election leaders pushing for more money to help keep our democracy safe and secure. This week, the state election director asking for support from the General Assembly as North Carolina sees more voters and more work for her office. And the challenges don't stop there. Nearly half of all North Carolina counties now have a new election director. And in a few minutes, you'll hear from one of those newer directors and her push to protect our elections. But first, joining us now is North Carolina Elections Director Karen Brinson Bell. Karen, thanks for coming on. We should also say that you recently added a new title, Secretary of the National Association of State Election Directors. It's a big title. Congrats on that as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. First
question, the State Board of Elections faces some unprecedented challenges right now. You do have a limited budget. You've got a lot more voters coming here to North Carolina, a record number of public record requests, significant turnover in county directors. Is your office, as it currently stands, sufficiently prepared for the general election in 2024?
You have itemized things very well. The other thing I would add is that since 2017, elections across the nation have been categorized as critical infrastructure. So we have added responsibilities beyond the actual election administration processes. It's more responsibility in how we secure our elections. And all of this requires funding. North Carolina is growing. We've seen significant turnover in county election directors, and the state's responsibility is to support that. We also provide the technology tools for the counties to conduct elections, be that processing voter registration forms or checking in the voters when they come to vote or providing those election night results. All of that runs through a system that we need to modernize. So we have made some significant asks to the legislature to help fund those things and to make sure that, we continue to provide successful and smooth elections for North Carolinians.
And what sort of response have you received from lawmakers? I mean, I probably don't have to tell you that the state does have a $3 billion surplus right now. So what kind of response are you getting from them?
We've had good conversations. I haven't gotten any firm commitments, and that's probably what all agencies are hearing. What I'm trying to emphasize is the impact that our small asks really, the impact that they have to the North Carolina voters, to the constituents that they serve, and really to, even county administration. There are a lot of costs in elections that the state level takes care of that does not get passed down to county government. And that's really important in, how things are funded and how we're able to serve people. So I'm really hopeful in the overall state budget. North Carolina elections and the State Board of Elections are a very small part. And while it may seem like some significant asks because of the size agency that we are, it's really small by comparison to other agencies and the overall state budget.
Well, give us an idea. I mean, how much of a funding increase are you looking for?
We're looking to increase our funding overall about $2 million a year, and this would cover the cost of the new requirements for cybersecurity and additional technology infrastructure that we need. In particular, it would also give us the personnel we need to support a growing electorate and a growing number of election laws, even some things that may be on the horizon from this legislative year. And then the other ask is really a capital improvement project that's at about $13 million to allow us to build out new election management system. That's the software that we use, again, for voter registration all the way through election night results. There's about 13 modules, and the counties do not pay for that, but all 100 counties use that, and so do folks here at the State Board of Elections. And that platform dates back to 1998, so it's time to modernize. We didn't even have smartphones in 1998. So wow. You can imagine that it looks more like Atari than it does any kind of modern technology.
Why, you mentioned some of the local districts, why some of the turnover in local directors? And what's the challenge in getting all these folks sort of up to speed?
Yeah, and since 2019, we've had 47 changes in county election directors, so nearly half. And that is huge. Some of this is substantial institutional knowledge that we're losing because many of these folks are choosing to retire after 20, 25, 30 years in the profession, but they're doing that in many cases because they've really lost the passion. Our profession has been under attack. We are genuinely public servants who want to ensure that every voter can exercise their right to vote, and yet our integrity has been questioned. And it's unfortunate because these are people that, you know, go to the same church, they've been a part of the same, you know, rec leagues at the ballparks, or, you know, or in the same grocery stores, and they're just carrying out the work that they know and love and do. And then we've seen other folks leave the profession and go to the private sector because the demand. I mean, this is a profession where we give, you know, we sacrifice ourselves. If you think about when elections take place, it means we don't get to participate in a lot of holiday activities. We miss birthdays, we miss graduations because we are that dedicated to what we do.
Tell me, what sort of impact has this sort of these threats and this sort of new skepticism about election workers for some reason, what kind of impact has it had on you?
It's tough. A lot of folks have asked me that, and I say that, you know, in a lot of ways, I feel like I've grown Teflon skin. You know, what I just try to do each morning, and what I've encouraged my colleagues around the state and country to do, is just to remember those moments when that voter has thanked you, not the one who has criticized you. And even the one who criticizes you or threatens you, you know, at the end of the day, my job is to ensure that they too get to exercise their right to vote. But I think it's just making sure that people understand the processes and all the many checks and balances that we have in place to ensure that the things that they're questioning, the hate that they're throwing at us, really is us carrying out our job very systematically, methodically, and, you know, in a way that enfranchises everyone to exercise their right to vote.
And as you said, you are neighbors, you go to the same churches, you go to the same schools, and it's just such an odd thing that's happened over the last few years. With that said, I want to give you the opportunity to dispel any rumors. I mean, this past election, was there any widespread fraud in the state of North Carolina?
You know, there really is no widespread voter fraud or election fraud. We have systems in place to root that out. Am I going to say that it's perfect? It's not. But, you know, we have the systems in place to ensure free and fair elections. We test before elections to make sure everything's going to work properly, and we audit after the elections. North Carolina has been at the forefront of doing post-election audits since 2006. And so we have very strong confidence before we certify an election that every I has been dotted, T's have been crossed, and that we can certify those results with confidence and know that the folks that are going to be serving us have been freely and fairly elected.
We mentioned your new title with the Association of State Election Directors. What's happening? I know that these elections are run on a state level, but what's happening on the national level to sort of address some of the things we're talking about bringing back some faith in integrity, and or at least concern over integrity to our election security?
You know, just like our elections at the state and local level are run by bipartisan officials and nonpartisan election administrators, this national organization is made up of state election directors from all across the country, blue states, red states, purple states. And we work together to figure out how to convey a message you know, that helps people understand all the many steps that go into elections. And that's really difficult. We're not made up of sound bites. Conducting elections is a very complex, layered process that, you know, even right now, we're 9 months from when candidate filing starts in North Carolina. And we have tremendous preparations going into that so that we're ready for a 2024 primary. And most people don't realize that. So my colleagues across the country and I meet with cybersecurity experts to understand how to better secure our elections. We talk about processes and things that we know work or do not work, to recruit more poll workers, for example, or to improve our technology. Other states are going through things just like North Carolina, where we're needing to modernize our election information platforms, those computer systems and applications. And so it's a wonderful exchange, and I'm just flattered that my colleagues across the country have asked me to take on a leadership role in the organization.
Well, Karen Brinson Bell, let us thank you for the work you do, and thanks to the people in your office and in the county offices across the great state of North Carolina, as well as all those great poll workers and volunteers who make it all possible. Karen, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
More Flashpoint after this.